Hey everyone, today we're going to continue our walk through Dwellyo.AI, and today we're going to focus on advanced services. So if we come over here on the left hand side, we can see the drop down menu for advanced services, and we have a variety of different things that we can take a look at. So most of what we're going to look at today is going to be looking at documentation and how we handle documents and the things that we can do with them. So in our first instance, we can go ahead and take a look at document analysis. And the way we do that, we simply come up to New Analysis here in the top right-hand corner. And when we do that, we can simply upload a new document or use an existing document for analysis. And so if we take a look at the documents that we already have. So here we can take a look at some offers to purchase, and if we simply select the file that we want, and then we can look at the different analysis types. So depending on the document that we're taking a look at, we can look at inspection reports, for example, because those tend to be quite lengthy, and we want to pull out the relevant information and be able to kind of summarize that in a way that it makes it useful and understandable for both you and your client. And so as you can see, there's a number of different document types that we can analyze. And so we simply pick the document, pick the type of analysis that we want to do, and click Start Analysis. Now, that does take a couple of minutes. And so for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a completed document. And in this case, this is the output that we get. So we get a nice AI summary of what the document contains and what it's for. And so we're identifying things like key terms, as well as financial terms in this case because it's an offer. And so we can take a look at the different features and a summary of all the information that happens to be in that document. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. We can print that out, and that way we can get that to our customers. And of course, you can pick and choose which portions of that documentation you want to share. So we're going to take a step further down and take a look at offer comparison. And in the same way, we're going to be able to select the different documents that we want to look at. So this is an example of where, let's say we're listing a property and we get multiple offers to purchase. And here we're able to set the buyer priorities. That way we can analyze those documents based on what's important to the seller in this case. So step one is just simply select the properties, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick any property here, but of course you would pick your and so we'll just go ahead and do that. And so part of the process is evaluating the documentation based on the property that you choose here, and then also the priorities that we set going forward. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Here we're just going to navigate through and find the documents that are important in this case. And so we'll go ahead and upload the multiple offers. In this case, I'm just picking one because we're going to take a look at the finished product here in just a minute, but you would upload multiple documents in the case where you're getting multiple offers for the same property. Ooh, in fact, it's telling us down here we need to upload at least two, so let's go back and grab the other. So hard to do a comparison with just one document. So that's, again, a way that Dwellyo is going to help you understand and sort of walk you through the process and let you know when you haven't done the things that it expects in order to continue with the process. So that's a good thing. So we can set different priorities here. So pricing priority, here we're weighting the different things. So if everything is in equal weight, we can do that. Or if timeline is the highest priority with price in a close second, financing options maybe a little bit less, and we don't necessarily care so much about contingencies and that sort of thing. So at that point we can just go ahead and start processing, and I'm going to cancel here because we have a finished product already done, and again it takes a few minutes for that to run through the process. So again, it's using the AI in order to process all that documentation, and here we can get a list of all the pertinent information, and we can get a breakdown of the different offers based on price, closing costs, net to seller, and all of those sorts of things. So here we're going to look at risk assessments. So offer 1 versus offer 2, what are the risks involved with each of those different offers, and so on. And so now we're also going to offer up some negotiation strategies. So the AI has made a number of different suggestions which you can use or not use however you see fit. Okay, so we give you a lot of really good information. We're talking about risk mitigation, market intelligence, and overall analysis of those offers so that you can make the best informed decision that you can. So that's offer comparison. So again, this is a situation where you have a listing and you have multiple offers for that listing, and we want to see which listings are potentially the best, or which offers are potentially the best based on the priorities set by you and your seller. Next, we have property comparison. So comps are incredibly important, and we can do property comps in the process of gaining the listing to begin with, and so we'll see how we can do that. But it's also important for the listing agent to be able to get proper comps. It's also important for the buyer's agent to get proper comps for a particular property, and that can be a very lengthy process if you're doing it manually. Here we're going to give you a couple of different options for how to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look. So here we're going to create a new comparison, and we're just going to click New CMA here in the top right hand corner. Now we have two options. We can do a light analysis, which is going to basically do a superficial analysis of a number of different properties, looking at things like price and square footage and area, those sorts of things. The other option, which is more comprehensive obviously, is the deep analysis, in which case we're going to start taking a look at the individual photos for each of the properties that you choose, and we're going to start comparing kitchen to kitchen, bathroom to bathroom, master bedroom to master bedroom, and so on and so forth. And so using the AI, we'll be able to analyze those photos and determine, this property has an updated kitchen compared to this property which doesn't, and does that make sense based on the price comparison that we're offering here. So let's go ahead and select the property that we want to compare. And for the sake of expediency, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a random property. And so in the next step, we're going to take a look at some of the configuration steps. So we want to look at properties that are, within 5 miles. We can go as far out as that 5 mile radius, or we can go, just within the neighborhood, say 3/4 of a mile. So let's go with the full 5 miles. We want our square footage to be within 80% to 120% of our target property. We're going to take a look at, in this case, let's just look at 5. Let's look at 10. So we've got 10 properties that we want to choose from. It doesn't mean you have to do the comparison based on all 10 properties, and we'll see that here in just a minute. And then we can set maximum days on market, include active listings, pending sales, or sold properties. So we're going to include all those in your choice. And then if you want to, you can specify specific ranges for beds, baths, and minimum similarity score. So we want to try to get as close to that property as we can. Okay. So in the next step here, we're looking for comparable properties based on the configuration that you just set. And so now we just simply go through and pick the properties that we actually want to use for the comparison. So don't always want to use them all, but you do have that option. So let's go ahead and deselect them all. And I can go through, and this property makes sense, as well as this one, and let's say that one. So in this case, we'll want to run 3 different properties through the process and get that detailed comparison. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here, because at this point we would just go ahead and run the CMA, and that will initiate the AI process and go through all of that analysis and return the results. And so again, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the final product. So this can be a very detailed analysis of all of those different properties, and you can of course export that to PDF, and you can pick and choose which sheets that you move forward with, but it does provide a tremendous amount of information. And so here in the top, we're looking at the original listing, and down here we've got a pretty brief comparison of the properties that we were taking a look at. And so here's our target property on top, and then we have the properties that we're comparing to, and we can get a quick look at square footage, pricing, price per square foot, days on market, and those sorts of things. Then as we move down through, we can take a look at the pictures, do a comparison of the property details, everything like that. And then we start to dig deeper into each of those individual properties. And so here we've got the property description, we've got a ton of photos associated with that particular property, and we go through each of the different properties that we're using in this particular comparison, and going through all those details. And so that way the buyer or the seller has the opportunity to take a more detailed look at the properties that you're using as the comparison. And this is using the CMA Lite option as well, just to be clear on that. So let's get down through all of our properties. All right, and so here with the comparison, again, we're going through and laying out in table format all of the attributes of those various properties, and so we can do, leverage that comparison as we do there. And we're looking at price distribution, and we're comparing that property on a variety of different dimensions. Okay, and so that is the property comps. So this is, again, a great tool to be able to not only win the listing, but also to help your buyers understand that the offer that they're about to make is actually in line with comparable properties, as you know. So the advantage here is that it doesn't take you any time at all to get through the process. As you saw, we simply work through the menus and then allow the AI to do all of the work for you. You simply print out the results or export it to PDF and email the results if you want to, and then you can pick and choose which parts of that set of documentation that you want to demonstrate. Now, we can also do a deep analysis of an individual property. And again, if we click here in the new analysis piece, we simply select the property that we want to search on. And again, for the sake of expediency, we'll go ahead and pick that property. And then we simply run the analysis. So you don't need to do anything more than that. And what the AI is going to do at this point is it's going to look at that individual property, and it's going to give you a very, very detailed breakdown of all the attributes of that particular property. And it's going to be looking at the individual photos that are associated with that property. So we're going to be looking at, is your kitchen up to date? How's the backyard? Does the roof look like it's in good shape? And all of those sorts of things. And so we have the executive summary describing everything about that particular property. Then we've got some quick overview, so we have some highlights and some limitations. We have the condition assessment for that particular property, and as you can see, we're looking at exterior condition based on the photos and letting you know what the strengths are. In this case, curb appeal, concerns, roof is approaching age where replacement may be needed. So we're highlighting any of those sorts of things. So here we're looking at windows and doors and foundation and driveways. We're looking at all the details that we can find in those photos and providing a deep analysis of that, as well as the interior condition as well. And so we're going to take a look at all of the interior attributes based on what the AI can observe inside those photos, and offer up any sort of providing any details or any observations that the AI is making based on the photos that it has. And as you can see, it's a very detailed, it goes through absolutely everything. So it's a very, very deep analysis of that particular property. And this may be good to have with your sellers as well, as they're trying to figure out where do they actually want to list their property. They can go down through and see where the potential weaknesses in the property are versus the strengths, and be able to have a very detailed analysis to make those informed decisions. Again, it doesn't take you any time. You simply feed it the property that you want. We'll run the deep analysis. You can simply email it or output it or print it off and do with it as you will. So those are the advanced services. Again, advanced services is about document handling and document analysis. And as we saw earlier, we can analyze individual documents and determine the different attributes of offers. We can do offer comparisons, property comparisons, and deep analysis of particular properties. These are tools in your that you can use to help enhance the selling process and make your life a little bit easier, because again, you just have to pick and choose through the menus and allow the AI to do all the work for you. So I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to demonstrating the rest of the capabilities of the platform. Thanks.